Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Supply Chaney podcast. I am your host today and every day, Nathan Chaney. Today we're going to unpack, we're going to deliver, we're going to talk about a new topic here that we haven't yet covered here on the Supply Chain podcast in almost 80 episodes. We have not yet had someone who represents much more than just the steamship and maritime industry, but someone who largely that everyone knows as being the big blue ships in the water, and that would be Maersk. But actually, it turns out there's much more to it. They have many more services beyond just the big blue ships. So, really excited today to have Leah on. We were just part of a conference a few weeks ago in Long Beach, the ninth annual Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals Southern California Roundtables annual tech conference. That is a mouthful. I practiced that like 5 times in order to be able to get that out. But Leah was one of the keynote speakers, and she had a lot of really interesting things to talk about on stage. And one of those things was AI. So we'll get to that. But first, Leah, I'd like to hand you the digital microphone real quick and allow you to introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you, Nathan. I'm super honored to be here with you. I'm Leah. I am the head of customer experience for Maersk in North America. And I also have a really cool title as the regional AI captain.
AI Captain, AI Captain. I love this, and I'm really excited to kind of dig into this. That you are the first person, as I mentioned, that really has a background in sort of the global shipping, literally shipping industry, and so I'm excited to kind of share what kind of some of the behind the scenes of what that industry is all like with the audience. But before we do that, can you kind of bring out sort of the family photo album and the history books and tell us a little bit about your where you were raised and what your early years were like.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. I'm from Denmark, and in fact, I'm from a little tiny village of 300 people. But
Wow.
yeah, it's very small. But who knew I would end up living here in the US and many other places? But my parents have always been very curious. So even growing up, we lived abroad for a few years. I lived in New Zealand and I lived in Switzerland, and that's also where I got really passionate about people learning new cultures, adapting to different societies, and just curious about the world in general.
Hmm. And whenever you were kind of traveling around as a young person, what did kept you busy? Like did you play any sports or any particular hobbies? Like what were you like as a kid?
Yeah, I love how here in the US that it's really a lot about the sport, so that will
Uh-huh.
keep me very busy as a parent also. But growing up, I was into a lot of different sports, so nothing really ever stuck. But I was always very active, and I think my parents would say I was hypersocial. So they could not relate and were kind of shocked that I was such an extrovert. But I've always needed people around me and was very focused on playing with friends when I was a kid.
I see. I'm similar. I don't know if I was as extroverted as I am today when I was younger. It's hard for me to go back in time. But yes, you're right. Just thriving on people. If I'm looking here kind of at your sort of first experience here on your profile, I see Danish Army Royal Guard. Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was really in doubt if I should study law or business. And then I have a good friend of mine that is an officer of the reserve in Denmark. And he said, Hey, why don't you try this? I had no idea what I walked into. I applied for this fast track officer of reserve education. And I actually didn't really think I would get in, but I got through all the 2, 3 days of testing,
Hmm.
and I got in and found myself suddenly out in the woods at negative freezing degrees, and
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking, what am I doing here? But yeah, I was an officer in the Danish army for 2 years.
Okay. All right. Maybe let's back up a little bit and talk about that transition from being at home with parents and going off to school and deciding what you want to be when you grow up. Can you kind of talk about like what your logic was or what you were thinking, like what you want to be when you grow up one day?
Yeah, I was trying to think back. What was it aside from wanting to be a princess? Uh, but I think, what stuck with me was my mom saying, the most important in life is that you get an education.
Mm.
You get whatever education that you want, but get one because you want to be able to not be dependent on others, but able to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
So never so specific as to what, and I think that's also why I was in doubt and wanted to go to the military and figure myself out, and that was
Mhm.
a really good move.
I see. I see. That's, I feel that there's a couple different people in the world, and there's those people who at an early age know exactly what they want to do and they can like focus their efforts in that early on. And then there's folks that take a little bit longer to kind of find what their purpose and mission in life is. Do you know about the time when that light bulb moment happened for you and you kind of found like you were starting to find your purpose?
Yeah, it was definitely when I was in the Danish army, because I found that what really motivates and inspires me is the team feel, having a purpose as a team, doing right and making a difference in the world as much as possible, but doing that together with other people, and how it makes you feel when you're able to be there for someone else and help them succeed, do better, get through something difficult, but also how it is when someone is there to lift you up. So that's when I knew that and I was an officer, so I was at a very young age responsible for educating more than 30 men. And yeah, it was all men back then. But that's also where I knew the rest of my career would be focused around leadership. I then didn't know exactly where would that be,
Yeah.
but leadership.
I see. I see. And how about that transition to the next thing, that first step out into leadership, maybe in the more corporate world? What was that transition like?
Well, I did work first in a media bureau, and then I saw that Maersk had a graduate program, and Maersk was the biggest company in the country. Everybody knew it. Was known for being maybe a little bit old-fashioned back then and dusty,
Mhm.
but very professional. And what really attracted me was that it's a global company, so you have the opportunity of working with people from all over the world on a daily basis, and it's like our own unique family that you're a part of, where
Mhm.
what happens in the outside is not as important as who we are together, regardless of what country that you're from. So this international career and ability to work with people across the whole world was what attracted me there.
And probably no doubt it had something to do with the fact that you had parents that moved around and you got to experience different cultures growing up as well. Maybe did that play into that itch to be part of a bigger scene and have the opportunities to travel?
Absolutely, 100%. And I got even more than what I expected. But yes, definitely how my parents raised me with the world is an exciting place and teaches you a lot. The curiosity there was definitely a big driver of why Maersk.
I see. I see. Well, let's talk a little bit about those very first years there at Maersk. You said it was a development program.
Yes, it is. It was our graduate program. So it's an opportunity to come in with a preset of two roles. I was initially, meaning you get to experience a bit broader what Maersk is about. It was also with dedicated training sessions where we met, and it was a program with people from all over the world where we then met 3 times and got special education also to upgrade our understanding of Maersk and logistics quickly.
There's a lot of students these days that I think that going into a graduate type program is an ideal situation because they get to try out a couple of roles in a company, kind of find where their path is before they make that long-term commitment. Is that a program that you all still have?
It's been a bit on and off, depending on, of course, also the environment around. So right now, not running, but hopefully we'll get back because we've definitely been very successful, and I have a lot of colleagues around the world that came from these
That came
programs
from
and
it, right?
still are there today. Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm kind of curious, like as you've moved through, your career, can you tell me, kind of just go through like that those milestones and the different roles and the different places that they've taken you?
Yeah, so it's really cool because I got my first job was in our headquarters in Denmark, where I started in our operations team. So it gave me the opportunity to really understand, what is a vessel? How do we plan the routings? How do we optimize it, both from a speed and a cost perspective? Second year was trade management. So the pricing, the trade strategy. So two core roles that gave a really good overall understanding of what shipping is really about.
Hmm.
So those were my graduate program years. And then I was fortunate to expatriate to China right after that, where I got the
Wow.
first team to lead. And also I had the opportunity of implementing a completely different way of working in terms of how we accept bookings on the ocean part. So exciting new culture, very different culture from what I was used to, and way of living, which as a leader also means you got to understand
Yeah.
how it works and how you can be effective and support your team best. But also in a job that was a new function and had to be built from scratch. So overall, very exciting.
Do you have any like particular memories that stand out from your time there in China, like a faux pas moment or something that really defines your time there?
I mean, I had never been in China before I moved there. So
Yeah.
imagine me from this little 300 people village, right? And
Right.
you find yourself alone with literally just two suitcases
Huh.
in a massive city, Shanghai, that is vibrant and fast paced, thinking, what did I do? But at the same time, super exciting. So I think, there are so many beautiful places in China, and what really stands out to me is those moments where I got to dive into the culture and people and visit homes of one of my Chinese friends, right?
Mhm.
To really understand how life is there. That's what stands out.
It's interesting, I guess, from the Maersk perspective that the Asia and China represents a pretty major trade lane just by the nature of production and manufacturing and goods there. Um, can you kind of elaborate on I guess the significance of operating and out of China in the shipping industry?
Yeah, of course, manufacturing grew and is still a very, very major part of the business that we do. The biggest trade lane, the export out of China, is still massive. So, of course, with the recent development in tariffs for the US, we do see also how companies are changing supply chains away from China. But
Hmm.
this is not with a rapid pace. It takes a lot of time to adapt and adjust. But China is, and for the rest of the world, especially actually the exports out of China for us grew by 4% versus last year. So there's still a growth and significant development in China.
That's right. The CEO there at Maersk was just interviewed in the Financial Times, and I read his comments about how it seems that supply chains are a little bit more durable and difficult to just quickly change, even though there may be changes in policy and governance around the world. That for the most part, it's difficult to, at the snap of a finger, change where the main manufacturing source of the entire world is and move it somewhere else. So it was really insightful to see that coming from him. Any other thoughts on that kind of topic?
Yeah, I think he also said it, but you can draw a parallel to our very large ships. You do not just change the course of a ship and it immediately moves. The change is certainly happening, and it has also been already happening over the past decade. But the expertise that exists in China takes time to develop in other locations, and hence the shift. There's definitely a shift for US, but it is happening over time.
Let's make the next step on the journey here. So I know we've got a few countries to work through. So after China, what came next?
I did go back to Denmark for a short stint. I had the opportunity to work as personal assistant to our former CEO Søren Skov, which was an amazing decision or opportunity because I was quite junior in the company still, and I was able to be the shadow of our global CEO, really understanding how everything works in our business, and again travel the world, of course. So that was great. But then I love being in the front line where our
Okay.
customers are, where the majority of our people are sitting. And therefore, I left again after that role in 2015, and I've been out ever since. So
Okay.
I went to Panama, which is completely different, literally the other side of the world, but also very different from Denmark and China, where I was leading an operations team responsible for everything container movement wise. So getting on the ship, off the ship, repair of our and maintenance of our containers, planning the flows of empty containers. So really hands on, on the ground, core operations role. And then I moved, after 3 years, I had such an amazing team. They did not need me anymore. So it was time
Nice.
to go. I had a daughter. My daughter was born in Panama, and then I moved to Spain, where I became the managing director for our freight forwarding arm at the time, Damco.
Okay.
For Iberia. I moved to Damco because, and our freight forwarding business, because I've always seen Damco as very customer centric. And I've always had that in my heart, like we exist because of our customers, right? And our
Right.
job is to create value for our customers in the best possible way. But I wanted to challenge myself and learn more. So I went there, but then didn't last long because Maersk, we understand, even though we're, such an old company, more than 120 years, right? We have
Wow.
to constantly, change and adapt, which also means we have to keep adapting our organizational structure to fit what our customers need and how we need to evolve as a company. So it was short-lived, unfortunately. But so after less than a year, I moved to Italy, where I became the managing director for the Maersk business. This happened when we merged in our freight forwarding arm into the overall Maersk brand.
Okay. Okay. Where I'm starting to sense the presence and the growth of, getting away from just containers and ports and terminals and ships and moving more into the sort of end-to-end logistics arm. Can you talk a little bit about, at this point in the story, like how that end-to-end logistics capability has percolated or grown within the Maersk company?
Yeah, of course, we do aim to be the integrator of container logistics, and really it comes from the core need of our customers. So the change from Maersk used to be a conglomerate where we had many different businesses that were operating at arm's length, and
Hmm.
instead we changed strategy towards the integrator, where we saw a need of our customers to look at their supply chains also in an integrated way, creating value by looking end to end rather than looking at the supply chain in pieces. And this is when we organized ourselves in parts of the business also around the customer rather than around the products. While we still do today also maintain strong product expertise,
Hmm.
we merged in, as an example, the freight forwarder business, but also later our separate ocean brands, Hamburg Süd and Sealand, as examples.
I like that concept. And you have to match the 120-year-old legacy business with what the needs of customers are today. Um,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about where? So I think if we're in Italy now, and maybe maybe next, or is it the last, or the just current road stop on the journey?
Yeah, so after or in Italy, I absolutely loved that job. I have to say it was career highlight, both because Italy is an amazing place to live, best place in the world. No offense to any other country, but I was also responsible for 14 other countries. So this was really exciting. And looking at the business as a managing director across every function that ultimately is there to create value for the customer, understanding how is it that we manage ourselves and motivate our organization to create success for our customer was really fascinating. But I'm a person like everyone else, and from a family perspective, I had a need to go live in the US. And I've worked in Maersk for over 16 years because of the values of our company.
Hmm.
It's of course, we are a business and we have a job to do for our customers. Of course, we have to create earnings for our shareholders, and so we can continue for another 100 years or more, hopefully.
Right.
But our values are so strong, right? Like when you do a good job and you are there for the company is also there for you. So when I had this need to go to the US, I had a ton of support in helping me to find the right opportunity so that I could do so. So now US, and it will be the last stop because I need to stay here for my
Okay.
children. So yeah, now settled in. I actually live in South Carolina. Our office is in North Carolina, and I'm loving it here as well.
All right. Well, welcome to America. Now it's a place I've called home my entire life, and I'm actually looking to change that in the near future and go out and live abroad. So, a question that I like, from the personal angle is, out of the places that you've lived, what was your favorite place? And again, like you said, no offense to any of the places, but what was maybe like the place that you missed home the most when you were living there?
Yeah. There is no doubt that as much as I love living here, because I really, really do, Carolinas are amazing. People are super friendly. There's a lot of nature, right? And, you get a lot of value for your money as well. So I really enjoy living here. But Italy was the best place I've ever lived. I mean, you have just the combination of warmth, relationship oriented culture.
Hmm.
People take care of each other. It's very family oriented. But also, I mean, nobody can beat the food, the wine, the beauty of the nature in the country as well, and the diversity, because Italy, every region is different, so there's a lot to explore.
Out of all the countries that I've lived in, that I've visited, Italy's probably the one that I have gotten to visit the most different regions as well. So
Yeah.
I can kind of share your sentiment that it's a special place.
Yes. But to your where did I miss home the most? To be honest, I think every single country in the world has great things and not so great things, and
Hmm.
I think you're a happier person. I'm a happier person when I focus on the great things,
Yeah.
because I know, like anything else, there are downsides. So, but focus on what is good and try to mitigate the downsides that there are. I mean, living abroad in general, I would say, is amazing because it's such a learning opportunity, and there's just so much to enjoy and take in, right? But of course, I miss. It's not so much the country Denmark, but family,
Hmm.
friends in Denmark. That is the sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah, and that expatriate sort of experience, it seems to be a necessary milestone and step toward progressing a career, particularly in a large global company, because you need to be able to understand the nuances of operating and working in different countries and leading people with different personalities and cultures, and so it just kind of seems like that is part of the traditional growth path in a large company.
I would say that was my growth path, but it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be. We have
Okay.
many colleagues that have been able to progress and succeed in their careers, becoming senior leaders also by staying in one country. I
Hmm.
would say for me, it brought me so much both on from a business and from a personal perspective, but it's not a requirement to excel and grow. It's an opportunity that anyone can take at any
Yeah.
point in their careers.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Through this conversation so far, I think I've heard you talk about your passion and the company's passion for taking care of the customer and being customer focused and customer centric. So I think it seems just inevitable that the place that you're at now is head of customer experience. Can you talk a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, thank you. And it is. I mean, we are here for our customers. That is really the core of what we do: create value for our customers. So I'm super honored to be able to lead a customer experience organization for US and overall North America. It is about taking care of our customers' business. So we have two functions that actively engage with our customers and are responsible for the relationship. It's the commercial organization, sales, and
Mhm.
then there's us in customer experience. So where sales, of course, together with us have a close relationship, my organization is accountable for making sure that we deliver what we have committed to our customers. And of course, we aim to do even more. We want our customers to see that their business is safe in our hands. Their objectives, logistics wise, is ours as well. We need to deliver for them, but we also want to create value beyond that. We want to make sure that we are reliable for our customers. We want to make sure that we are cost effective, that we optimize lead times, optimize their supply chains. That's really what we're here for. So on a daily basis, my organization is looking out for our customers' business, engaging with customers, making sure everything is on track, and looking to be proactive also and foreseeing when there are constraints, risks, challenges, and consulting, being a consultant to our customers as to what steps can be taken to safeguard their supply chains.
Kind of talking a little bit more about that, and we were starting to broach the topic of just what the portfolio of services are that you all do provide, and can you kind of elaborate for folks that may not be aware of what that full spectrum is, and maybe with that, kind of like what is your ideal customer, like what's the ultimate sort of end to end sort of solution that y'all can provide?
Yeah, it is truly end to end, everything ocean and logistics and services. So what I'm talking about concretely, of course, we have our ocean service, which is really the was the core of Maersk,
Mm-hmm.
but beyond that, everything else. So from origin, going to where goods are produced,
Mm-hmm.
taking it to the CFS or the port, so that whole land side,
Mm-hmm.
the actual warehouse transloading whatever is needed. We do that. We do not just ocean, but we also do air shipments.
Oh.
We take care of customs. We do project logistics. We do also ground freight. So can be so the transportation between two inland
Mm-hmm.
places.
Yeah.
So we do e-commerce. We do everything
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
We have a supply chain. We can do anything. That's it.
So yeah, so from that, the first mile pickup at origin, get it across the globe somewhere, drop it back into a destination country, and hold it and fulfill orders as they come in. I
Yeah.
guess end to end, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and we have our own terminals business as well. So we have AP Møller Maersk terminals. We have of course, the vessel part, but we have assets across everything, including planes and trucks and everything, and warehouses, of course, everything else. And then, of
right.
course, we do the supply chain management orchestration as well,
Okay. Okay.
which is, I think, the core of logistics.
Right. I think some people call that kind of like a control tower type of approach of
Supply
the
chain
end to
management.
end. So all that being said, I'm kind of curious if you were to go back and talk to yourself back when you were just starting out and not quite sure what your path was going to be. Is there any advice that you would give yourself to change anything that you've done, or to that you were on the right path the whole time?
Oh, I think there's always things that can be done different. And we all have failures. I have them every day. But when it comes to career, I think what is important is that you take whatever doesn't go as you would have intended or would have liked, and learn from it to get better for the next one, right? I
Yeah.
don't regret what I've done career wise and the moves that I've made, because I've learned a lot from all of them, and I've enjoyed it. I've had fun. I'm so grateful for
Yeah.
all the friends that I have all over the world because of this, right? Customers and our people, partners, and so on. So I wouldn't change anything. I think the core is to be curious, and the things that didn't maybe go as well as I would have liked. I think that's part of life as well, and
Right.
it's not about avoiding them; it's about getting stronger from it.
That's right. That's right. Let's maybe start talking a little bit about what we were talking about on stage there in Long Beach, and that is that big A word that everyone's throwing around these days, which is AI. And I think I've heard 100 different people speak about it. We're all inundated with it, but I found a lot of value in what you shared that day, because you really kind of made it concrete, and you shared some insights of like best practices around trying AI and how you kind of make sure that you have the organization try out different tools and be innovative, but you do it in a smart way that's protected and secure and safe. And can you just kind of talk a little bit about the AI components of things there?
Yeah. AI is here. It's real, and it's been here for a while. So in Maersk, I wouldn't say we're new to it anymore. It's just that it keeps evolving so fast that what we can do is more and more. We look with AI to create value for our customers, but of course also the company. And I mean, we have more than 3 billion data points that
Wow.
flow through Maersk. Yeah. 3 billion. It's insane. And what will that be in 10 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of data. And it's to us to make sure that we use all this data to make a positive difference for our customers and for society, right? So we have concrete examples already, where, as an example, we are using AI to guide our captains on our vessels to make the right decisions. We have a lot of different factors we have to take into account. And by using AI, we're better guided as to when do you speed up a vessel, when do you slow down to overall consume as little bunker as we can, which is good for environment, right? To preserve the bunker, but still arrive on time for our customers. There are certain areas that we have to avoid when we're sailing, and by using AI, we really get the right input on multiple data points to take the right decisions as we operate our vessels. So that's one concrete way of using AI today. But we have more than 200 AI projects going on. So there's a lot, and I even struggle to keep up with all the progress that we have. I think a really cool recent one is that we now, it's often that we have to call our truckers to know exactly that's what our customers are asking my team often.
Yeah.
Where is my container?
Where's
When
my
am I
stuff?
gonna
Yeah.
get it? Right. So our operations team have to call truckers to check in with them. Hey, when are you going to be there?
Yeah.
And that is not good time spent. Often we get put on hold, right? And doesn't allow us to focus on other things that create more value for the customer. So we have
Right.
AI that we're just getting in place now that can
Mhm.
make that call, that can stay on hold and get the
Mhm.
information and plug it into our system so that we can get back to our customers faster.
Thinking about this at 200 projects, the thing that I think that might concern people is just like, how do you make sure that everything that's going on is done safely and that data is not getting out there into the public, and that you're not somehow inviting in some intrusions or something like that through that. So what kind of mechanisms do you have in place to kind of make sure that it's done safely and smartly and strategically?
Yeah, that's absolutely core to us, and we have a strong governance in place. It's not like any individual in Maersk can just develop their own AI solution and deploy. I mean, we do take an approach where we believe it's absolutely fundamental to educate our Maersk organization, and I mean full Maersk organization, on what AI is and what it can do, exactly to make sure that we're also applying the right safe and controlled approach. So out of our 100,000 people, or more than 100,000, 30% are already trained on AI. Of course, our
Mhm.
whole tech organization is. But aside from that, we have a board in place that does review any AI initiative. There is a central place and a core person who is responsible for our AI in Maersk.
Mhm.
So any AI idea needs to go through the right, or a lot of checks to make sure that it's
Yeah.
responsible, done in the right way, protecting the data and information of our customers, but also our people, of course. So we have super strong governance and control in place, but we do believe that AI is best leveraged by using a wider organization as the ones to come up with ideas, suggestions, together with our product teams and tech teams.
Excellent. There was a part of I think maybe that press release and that interview the other day that talked, and you talked about bunker a while ago, and you talked about sustainability and the ability to speed up a little bit or slow down a little bit to preserve and be as sustainable as possible. Can you elaborate a little bit on just kind of like some of the sustainability initiatives there within the company?
Yeah, as I said, this is part of why I've been with Maersk so many years and don't see myself other places, is because we care a lot about how we do business as well,
Hmm.
and therefore we have very ambitious targets also on sustainability. We plan to be net zero on greenhouse gas emission by 2040, which is extremely ambitious. And because of
Wow.
that, we've also invested in vessels that can operate on e-methanol, and we continue to explore, different methods across our full business, trucks, warehouses, and so on, as to how we operate as sustainable as we possibly can.
Awesome. Awesome. I saw that point about, I think like the whole fleet is able to operate on the two different kinds of fuel. Kind of just closing things up here. Do you have, you've seen a lot of things, you've done a lot of things, and you've had this career trajectory. Is there a quote or like some sort of motivational quote that you kind of lean on, that you share with folks, that if you're going to get a tattoo, like with a quote of some sort on you, like what would that be?
I mean, overall, my fundamental belief is people first, right?
Hmm.
And that is, yes, I'm responsible for a customer experience, but at the end of the day, I'm responsible for taking really good care of the people in my organization, because if our people are happy and enjoy coming to work, that
Yeah.
means they deliver great outcomes and happy customers, and overall it creates a successful business. So I think people first, as a leadership point, has always been my driver. But I would say, on a more personal note, my dad brought me up with that, if there's a will, there's a way. And I believe that you're accountable for your own success and outcomes. And it's about leaning in, being curious, and getting out there, get it done.
Yeah.
So that's
Excellent.
what I have a tattoo of.
No, I'm also a two quote person as well. I couldn't just pick one as well. So, hey, I appreciate you coming on today and sharing some of your expertise and your experience with us. Any last words on your part before we wrap up for today?
Thank you so much. It's been very different talking so much about myself for once. But I would say, last thing, with AI, I think, yes, it is scary. It's scary for all of us to some extent. But AI is here. It's real. I think the best we can do is really to be curious, lean in, and be part of it, because I think that's the only way forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So be curious.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm curious to see where we'll bump into each other next.
Me too. Good
All
luck
right.
with overseas experience.
All right. Thanks. Talk to you later.
Talk to you. Bye.